Sure. We'll try and see if we can complete the 9th chapter today, because what Bhagavan Krishna is doing is pretty much expressing the same idea, repeating, and re-stressing the same idea, which is, you think of me, you'll come to me. You keep me foremost in your thoughts, I will always be there with you. Always make sure that you reside in me, then I reside in you, right? And it's not an if and a but. It is not Bhagavan saying that if you do this, I will do that. It is just the nature of the way of things. The way things work is that way. That is the way the mind works. That is the way that is the way things work, in a way to respond. It's essentially the way response comes based on the intention and action that we display, right? So the promise that Krishna makes, there's a lot of promises Krishna makes in this particular chapter 9, right? In Raja Vidya Yoga. He makes a lot of promise to say that I will be available, I will be there for you. All you have to do is think of me. All those who think of me and keep me foremost in their thoughts, I will always be available to them. So these are all claims and promises that Bhagavan Krishna makes. And it is not surprising that he's making that promise, right? It is not at all surprising, because he is not saying something which is out of dharma. He is not saying something that, if you keep thinking of me, I will think of you, is in alignment with dharma, because that is the way we operate. Like we said, if we keep thinking about something, like for example, if you have to think about the stock market all the time, every news article that you read will take your mind to what is happening to the stock index, right? If you're so glued into the whole stock exchange, the stock market, the way it is operating, when is something going down, when is something going up, between the bell ring to the bell ringing of the open and the close ringing, what is happening, you will be so glued. And so whenever anybody tells you anything, any news article comes, anything comes that you get to know, immediately your mind will think about the stock index. It will think about how this is going to impact that, what is going to happen. Then you will calculate what's happening to the investment that I made, the money that I put into this. Should I move this here? Should I move it? Should I diversify it? Should I consolidate it? This is all you will keep thinking, right? No, it's not about right or wrong. It is the way things work. What you think, what you invest in, it's basically return on investment. What you invest your mind, energy, time, intention, action into something, that is going to yield the results that it can yield, right? If you grow a mango plant, you will suddenly not find a coconut coming out of it, right? So if you want a mango plant, you will have to plant a mango seed and put the right amount of water, give it the right amount of sunlight, give it the right amount of manure, all of that. But what have you invested? It's a mango seed, and which is what you will get. You will get a mango plant only. This is dharma. This is the way things work. So if you invest your time, Bhagavan says, you invest your time in me, I will be available to you, which means you tap that extra human, or the beyond the physical aspects. Because what is Krishna, or what is Bhagavan, or what is this divinity or cosmic consciousness principle that is there? It is beyond physical. So if we invest ourselves in the beyond physical, in the more subtler realms of energy, in the subtler realms of consciousness, you will reap the benefits of that. You will remain more sensitive, you will remain more understanding, you will remain more inclusive, you will become more Krishna-like if you keep thinking about Krishna. Not in the way he does things, but in the way he operates from within, right? That is Krishna to you. So he says, these are the promises he's making. So now yet again another thing he's saying, api chet suduracharah bhajate mam ananya bhak sadhureva samantavyah samyak vyavasito hi saha. So he's saying even if one is the most the most he's done the most atrocious kinds of sins, suduracharah, the one who's considered to be probably one of the worst sinners you can come across, if he bhajate mam ananya bhak, he devotes his heart and mind into me with complete devotion, sadhu eva mantavyah, he is considered to be a sadhu. He is no longer a sinner. He is no longer a papatma. He is considered to be a sadhu. Mantavyah samyak bhavasito hi saha. And then that way, such a person will resolve into me. Right? Because they have made the right resolve. They made samyak vyavasitaha. Samyak vyavasita is he's made the right resolve, and he will resolve into me, which means by resolving that I am going to completely, entirely devote my devotion, devote my time, my energy, everything to Bhagavan Krishna, such a person is with me, remains with me. Right? And we know many such examples in the Puranic literature. Even in the life of Buddha, you have the story of Angulimala, who comes and he is the sinner, or he is considered to be somebody who's had extreme sadistic pleasure, because he will not just loot and probably kill people, he'll also cut their thumbs and put it around his neck, right? A certain sadistic pleasure of gratification he would get. So, which is why his name was Angulimala, because he'll make a mala of all the angulis, the fingers of people he has stolen from or killed, and so on and so forth. Even that kind of a person comes in front of Buddha, and that episode he devotes himself to Buddha. So Buddha says, doesn't matter. He actually asks Buddha, in your presence, I don't feel like doing anything. I don't feel like doing harm. So then he says, can I become your devotee? Can I become your disciple? And Buddha says, yes. He says, how is it possible? I have done so many atrocities, so much crime, so much sin. And he says, that doesn't matter. Do you resolve not to do it any further? Right? That is all it matters.
On the point, henceforth, the change has to be like a total U-turn Mari.
Correct.
I make
that resolution. Correct. And it is not that resolution I make it today and again I continue to do similar stuff and then again I make a resolve again. The problem that will have there is like, it's not that the Guru or Bhagavan or anybody will have a problem with that. It is just that they will wait, and it is like snakes and ladders. They'll say, okay, you climb, you made a resolve, you're going to do this. Few years later, again you go back to the older ways. It is like coming down the ladder or coming down the snake in the Paramapadam or the snakes and ladders game. So it is for you. Then you have to climb up all over again. You figure out when you do that. So a lot of gurus, that is why they will let the disciple go also. If the disciple is he's in so much disagreement at some point, the guru will say, okay, no problem, you go your way. Of course, he'll feel sad that he's losing an opportunity to, evolve further. But he'll allow him to go because that is the way he'll probably learn the lesson and come back. So maybe some people go through the cycle 2-3 times to realize, no, I don't want to go and hit myself again and again into that, because I want to resolve myself. I want to dissolve. So essentially the same idea. I want to go into the space of oneness, right? I don't want to keep beating around again and again. So enough number of times, which is what again, as my guru would say, podum amma podum. You have to get to that stage of enough. Otherwise, we keep going, we make a resolution, and then we make a turn. But then again, after some years, again, something comes up and then we fall into the older habits. Extremely important is to stay with the resolve. Making a resolve is an extremely great first step, but to stay with it is important, extremely important. So he says, then you become a sadhu. Sadhu eva samantavyaha samyak vyavasito hi saha. Who, the one who's, even though he is a duracharaha, apichet, even though he is a duracharaha, bhajate mam ananya bhak, with exclusive devotion prays to me, he comes to me and he does not continue to do the sin, then he remains a sadhu. He becomes a sadhu. Chipram bhavati dharmatma shashvanti. Yes, ma.
இதுல வந்து it is not only for those kind of people to turn and remain, it's also for என்னை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும். ஆமா,
Everybody.
நம்ம வந்து ஒரு பாதையில வந்துட்டு இருக்கோம்னா கூட இருந்தாலும் அது வந்து டு ஸ்டே தேர் யூ நீட் சம்திங் டு ஹோல்ட் ஆன் டு. அண்ட் அதுல தான் வந்து சத்சங் வந்து ஐ ஃபீல் இஸ் வெரி வெரி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். சத்சங் வந்து அது 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 இது இல்லைன்னு வச்சுக்கலாம், கொஞ்ச நாள் ஸ்லிப் பேக். இட்ஸ் ஜஸ்ட் லைக், அதாவது அன்நோயிங்லி வில் பி ஸ்லிப்பிங் பேக். அந்த விஷயம் அந்த அந்த இந்த சுதாச்சார இவங்க வந்து இந்த மாதிரி தோஸ் விக்கெட் பீப்புள், அவங்களுக்கு வந்து they may be willingly going back, ஏன்னா அந்த பழக்கத்தினால. பட் நம்ம வந்து unknowingly will be slipping again if we don't have a satsang.
No, absolutely true. Which is why it is important to have an environment created for ourselves when we are well, when we are in the path, when we are well. We have to create an environment very quickly so that the environment can hold us when we are slipping. So the creation of that environment, either through, like Mama, you're saying, like satsang, or creating an environment of some kind of a ritual. A lot of times, some ritual, like my mother will even show is, even though she's unwell and the body doesn't allow, she'll still go and do that archana, or the Friday on the dinner, she'll do that archana puja and all of that. Because even though when you are falling down, when you force yourself with a ritual, you associate yourself with the ritual. When you're well, you do that as a pratignya, and I'm going to do. When you fall, you go a little low, either physically, mentally, energetically. That kind of holds you up. It gives you a certain momentum to hold. So likewise, satsang also. So in satsang, we come together so that even though there is a possibility of slippage, but kind of suddenly holds us back, right? And gives us a reminder, say, like, no, I want to be on this. So sustenance on this is extremely important. Right? Taking a resolve, making a resolve. In fact, we all know this. We also joke about it. Every new year, people make a resolve.
இதுல ஒரே ஒரு டிஃபரன்ஸ் பார்க்குறேன் குருஜி. நீங்க சொன்ன மாதிரி நம்ம பிசிக்கல் கர்மா இட் வில் பி ஃபார் த டியூரேஷன் ஆஃப் வாட் வி ஆர் டூயிங், மேபி லிட்டில் பிட் மோர். பட் சத்சங்கா வில் கீப் யூ திங்கிங். அந்த தாட் ப்ராசஸ் வந்து கண்டினியூ பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கோம். ஸோ யூ கனெக்ட் யூ டிவினிட்டி ஆல்மோஸ்ட் a longer time, longer period.
Absolutely right. Because the satsanga offers you shravanam during the satsanga, and then mananam and nididhyasanam. So it elongates your engagement on the subject matter, and it allows you to, and also in many ways, it also gives you a certain energy. It gives you an uplift. Even though it is the topic that has been heard a million times, every time that we hear, there is joy in it, there is beauty in it, right? Even though it is the exact same thing that's been said a million times. In fact, that is what they say, that those who are such realized souls who are disembodied, wherever there is Vedanta Vichara, they come in that disembodied form. They come and they are there. Swami Nuchur Swami says this. They are there in that presence, in that area, and you can feel it, because when such satsangs are happening, you can feel there is a rise in energy, and that can't be just human. It is some energy that is also operating there in that space to uplift the energy, because wherever there is some amount of Bhagavad Chintanam, Vedanta, Nama Sankirtanam, whatever happens, these disembodied beings who are realized beings, they get drawn to this place. Such energies get drawn, and then when they are drawn, automatically they raise the ambient energy. So absolutely right. So this is important to keep going, and keep going is the most difficult part, because we always look for immediate results or output, right? I did meditation for 25 days, nothing is happening. No, it is not like that. These are not things that we should not look for immediate gratification in the way we look for sense gratification, because these operate at a much subtler level, because that gratification, when it comes to this, it stays longer, which is why it takes time for it to come also. The reason it takes longer to come is because if it comes once that you sense, you get the taste of it, it stays longer, right? So which is the important point. The 31 shloka says, Kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat chantim nigacchati. Kshipram bhavati dharmatma. So the one, such a person quickly, Kshipram bhavati dharmatma. He comes and becomes a dharmatma, shashvat chantim nigacchati, and attains to shashvat shanti, which means everlasting peace. Nigacchati, attains to it. Kaunteya pratijanahi janihi. So says, go and declare this boldly. Or a devotee of mine can declare it boldly. What? Name bhakta pranashyati. That my bhakta, my disciple, will never get destroyed, which means will never get harmed, or will never get will never perish in a way. Right? Now, what it means is, the one, such a person who is so devoted to me and always thinking about me, can go boldly claim that he will never perish. Now, there is a thin line that needs to be also looked at over here, because a lot of times we gather spiritual ego, right? And this is something that needs to be very, very carefully looked at and always monitored. Typically, when we are in the path of sadhana and when we do a lot of things that are spiritual in nature, which means inner exploration, there is a tendency, everybody gets to a point of spiritual ego, which means that I have come to a certain stage, I have come to a certain level, I have come to a certain place. When we say this, it essentially puts us into I can do. It's like saying I am Krishna's bhakta, so I can do anything. Right? What Krishna is saying is, you can go boldly claim that my bhakta will never perish. Yes, but if I use that as a tool to harm somebody, right? I am Krishna's bhakta, I will never perish, so I can go beat you up. Right? You can't do anything to me, I go beat you up. No, that is not the point. The point doesn't mean that you can go actively engage in conflict. If you are Krishna's bhakta, you will not engage in conflict. This is something that we need to understand. What we think is, as a bhakta, I can go engage in conflict and I will win the conflict. I will come out victorious because I am a Krishna bhakta. No, in the name of Krishna, you can't go and do atrocities. Right? A lot of times, a king does okay. This is in the literature. In the literature, it is mentioned in some scripture, I don't know where. It is said that the kings don't get to go to heaven. All kings, greatest of king, you will not get to go to heaven. In a way, Swarga, even if you're the greatest king, you will visit hell for some time, or Naraka, because as a king, you take the responsibility of all your subjects. And by virtue of that, if your subjects are unrighteous, if they're adharmic, that sticks onto you also as a governor, as somebody who's governing, as somebody who's responsible for the act. So if your subjects go and disturb other people in some kingdom, or they do cause atrocities, they pillage some other towns and townships and other kingdoms, they cause havoc, the karma in a way also comes onto the Raja. So which is why a Raja is never devoid of this karma phala, the collective karma phala of the place that he's governing, is the Raja of. Right? So in that way, if we say that we can't, in the name of Krishna, I cannot go and cause injustice. I cannot say in the name of my guru, I'm going to go and, kill these 100 people or go and close something down, do that, do this and all that. These warriors that have come out in history there are warriors that, like the Sikh community came out as a protective group, not an attacking group. It came as a group to protect the Hindus, larger Hindu community, from the onslaught of Muslims and other ethnic groups. It was never created to go and attack and claim and do all of that. Now, what has happened with the Khalistani groups and all of that? Now it has become more of a group that is now using the ability, their warriorness, the ability to go, and because they're strong people, they've grown as warriors, they're now attacking. So the whole idea is lost. Why that group was fundamentally created was as a protection to the Hindus as a community. This is why Guru Nanak and Guru Gobind Singh, essentially Guru Gobind Singh, established this. So the problem that happens is when he says Kaunteya pratijana janihi name bhakta pranashyati, which means my devotee does not get will never be perished up. Is the way we have to look at it, is that as long as I stay in dharma, my Bhagavan Krishna is telling me, you don't have to fear anybody. It is a statement to instill confidence in someone who is in the path of dharma and also having Bhagavan in his mind and heart. This is to instill confidence in such people. It is not to give a free rope or a free license to someone. Because I am a Krishna Bhakta, I can go and beat up, or I can do anything what I want. Right? So this is something that we need to understand. This is where I was mentioning spiritual ego. Spiritual ego is something that will develop alongside. And it will make us think that now, because I am a Devi Bhakta, because I do this puja, because I do that, because people are saying I have a glow, I have a tejas, I have this, that, and the other, I can do whatever and whichever way, right? No, we still adhere to the dharma, because that is, so the problem that will happen there is, if we do it in the name, in our minds, because I am a bhakta, I can do whatever. What will happen is, it will start it's like saying the fall from the first floor is not too bad, but the fall from the 10th floor is bad. Right? So if you start falling, if you're not doing anything, you're not doing any spiritual practice, no, this thing, Bhagavan, you're not doing any of that, you're just doing what you're wanting to do. And if whatever you do, your karma phala will come. It will be like dropping down from if you do something bad or negative, it will be like dropping from the first floor. But if in the name of God you go and do, it's like dropping yourself from the 10th floor. So we are going to hurt ourselves more. So which is why it is important to not misuse the siddhis we gain during this process of sadhana. Because a lot of siddhis will come. We will be able to engage with people better. We'll be able to command. We'll be able to make things happen. You say something, people will listen to you. All of these things will happen. But it's our responsibility to ensure that we do and we say the right things. And that is important. So along with this comes responsibility. Right? Says Kshipram Bhavati Dharmatma. Very soon such a person becomes a Dharmatma, and he attains to Shashvat Shantim Nigachati. Shashvat Shantim Nigachati, which means he attains to peace. If that is important, then we will not do things to disturb that peace. is Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. Means such a bhakta will never get destroyed, not never get perished, means even if the body falls, such a bhakta will always remain my bhakta. He will always remain as a devotee of the Lord. He will never try to rise above, he will never try to attain to a certain superiority amongst men. Right? He will always remain my bhakta. That's what he's saying. Then in the 32nd one, Mam hi partha vyapashritya yepi syuv papayonayah striyo vaishyas tatha shudraha tepi yantim param gatim. So again, the same idea is extending. He says, any type of person who comes to me, it doesn't matter whether you're a papayonayah, whether you are somebody of a low birth in that context, at the time of the Bhagavad Gita and the Mahabharata, etc. Clearly, society was distinguished, very clearly distinguished as different castes, different creed, different statuses, stature, social structures, and all that were pretty much like there were lines drawn very clearly, right? In today's context, it doesn't make so much sense, but in that context, it made kind of it. That is the way society was. So it's a. So what he's saying is, even though somebody is from a low birth, see, today you can't even tell someone that, oh, he's from a low birth. You can't say that, because it doesn't make any sense of saying what does low birth and high birth mean today. In those times, it made sense because there is probably purity of bloodline. A lot of those things were maintained in those times. So at that time, using somebody low birth means you're probably not born in the right conditions, not born out of the right kind of.
It could be referring to the guna part of the aspect of it.
It could be
low birth na, like for example, அந்த ஒரு தாமசிக்கோ இல்ல ராஜசிக் குணத்தோடைய அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கா வந்து it can be, you know, like low birth. See, low birth, பவானே அந்த இதுல ஒரு இடத்துல சொல்றாருல்ல, நீ வந்து தாமசிக் குணத்தோட இருந்தேன்னா அடுத்த ஜென்மா உனக்கு வந்து தாமசிக் இருக்கக்கூடிய ஒரு குடும்பத்துல பிறப்ப அப்படின்றது அடுத்த ஆமா நெக்ஸ்ட் ஜென்மா பத்தி சொல்லும்போது இதை பத்தி சொல்லும்போது அதுல ஏதோ சொல்லுவார் நினைக்கிறேன் இல்லையா? So probably because that is probably referring to that as a low birth.
That is also correct. Absolutely. So in terms of also saying that if you are born to if, or rather if you carry certain tendencies which are very gross in nature, and if you're continuing, and then if you die with that kind of a tendency, you will be born into an environment that continues to proliferate or you prosper in that particular tendency, right? So you're right. So in terms of low birth, it could be that, or if you're also born into certain very societally, I'm saying societally, if you're born into very unacceptable conditions, right? Somebody's born out of unacceptable conditions, and society still at those times have identified them as if born to a prostitute, for example, has been considered as somebody not so this thing, or born to a chandala. Those times that classification was still there. But what he's saying is, even such a person, I absorb them, right? Like the story of what is his name?
Bhagavan no, he still sees everybody as same.
Correct.
Though maybe there be
Name
up and down.
Name dveshti dveshosti name priyaha. So no, there is nobody who is there is dvesha, there is nobody I have liking specifically for. So in that context, now I was thinking, Mama, about the what is his name? The person, the devotee, Shiva's devotee, who gives his eyes off to and then plugs it into Shivalinga's eyes. He was a hunter. Kannappa Nayanar. Correct. Kannappa Nayanar. So same thing there also. He's got doesn't he is not considered to be somebody of a high caste at those times, if you look at it. So because he knew only to come and give meat to Bhagavan as an offering, because that's what he had. And he would bring water. He didn't know how to carry water from the lake, so he would bring water in his mouth and pour the water onto the linga to clean it, so those are his ways, but he showed devotion and Bhagavan accepted it, right? So he's saying striyaha, striya purush vaishyaha tatha. So stri, be it women, be it brahmana, be it vaishya, be it shudra, yanti paramam gatim. So anybody, tepi yanti paramam gatim. So anybody who comes to me with that devotion, mad bhaktya, to me, with that bhakti, I absorb them into me, right? So then he goes on to the 33rd verse, Kim punav brahmana punyaha bhakta rajarsha yastatha. So again, even though even such people, I include them into me. Those who are probably, those who don't access, again, the other way to look at it is there are a lot of people who don't have access to this knowledge, right? A lot of people who don't have access to this knowledge. There are people, now we are probably fortunate in some ways because we have access to some of this knowledge, which helps us think about subtler things in life. Go a little deeper from the gross, go a little inward, try to contemplate and understand some of these things from within. We are fortunate, we've got the blessings, right? A lot of people are not so fortunate. And then for them, this knowledge is not accessible. They won't understand this knowledge. But he says, even those people who don't have this access, even them, if they show some amount of love and devotion towards me, I will accept them. Then what to say about Brahmanaha, Punyaha, Bhaktaha, Rishayaha, Rajaha? So all these people, Raja Rishayaha, which means what to talk about Brahmanaha, which is sages with meritorious deeds that they have done, Punyaha, Bhaktaha, of who are great devotees of me. Then Raja Rishayaha, which means who are kings, who are like rishis, saintly kings. What about them? They will certainly get the benefits of being devoted to me. Anityam asukham lokam imam prapya bhajasva mam. So having achieved devotion in me, they will come out of this transient anityam asukham lokam imam. This loka, which is anityam and asukham, which means it's joyless and it is transient, not nityam. Prapya bhajasva mam. So they, having come to this world, prapya, anityam, asukham, lokam, imam prapya, bhajasva mam. They continue to engage in this devotion unto me. Who are these people? Brahmanaha, punya bhaktaha, raja rishayaha. So it's a continuation of the previous one. He's saying, when I am able to take in such people who are low in different caste, different creed, different kinds of statuses, or different states of mind, different gunas, able to take such people, what to say of those people who are always thinking and engaging in me? I will certainly absorb them into me. Right? And then the last verse, 34th verse of this chapter, he says, Manmana bhava madbhaktaha madbhaktaha madhyaji mam namaskuru mam eva eshyasi yuktva evam atmanam matparayanaha. So he is, in summary, he is saying, Manmana, always think of me. Matmanaha, always think of me. Be my devotee. Bhava madbhaktaha, bhaktaha. Be my bhava madbhaktaha, be my devotee. Mat yaji, worship me. Be my worshipper. Mat yaji. Mam namaskuru, offer your worship, obeisances, your namaskaras to me. Mam namaskuru. Mam eva eshyasi, you will come to me. certainly, eva eshyasi, yuktva evam, thus united with me, atmanam mat parayanaha, having dedicated your body and your mind to me, you will come to me and you will become me. Brahmai, what is the verse there? Brahmaiva, Brahmavid Brahmaiva bhavati. Brahmavid Brahmaiva bhavati. So this is where you end at the chapter 9, and we say that he's saying, think of me, worship me, prostrate to me, always keep me in your mind, and you will attain to me. Okay. So we'll close today with that. Om Kayena Vacha Manasendriyerva Buddhyatmana va Prakate Swabhavat Karomi Yatyat Sakalam Parasmai Narayanayeति Samarpayami Sadashivayeति Samarpayami Jagadambikayeti Samarpayami Sadgurunathayeti Samarpayami Hari Om Tat Sadgurubhyo Namah. Hari Om. Astu. Thank you.